Good morning, and thank you all for joining us for our webinar series today. This webinar series is AP Automation and 5 Easy Steps. My name is Sean Morris, and I'll be your host through the webinar series. Today we have 3 speakers with us. We have Christina Robbins, who will talk with you about the business aspects and the business reasons for automating AP. We have Mr. Robert Esquivel from Epson, who will talk to you specifically about scanning hardware and the line of products that they bring that are useful to folks in AP departments and AP organizations. And then we have Paul Owens, who will talk with you today about how the hardware interacts with the software so you can see how easy it is to actually start converting paper files to electronic files. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christina Robbins.
Thank you, Sean. So the question that I have for you is, have you tried to automate AP processes in the past, or are you currently examining options for going digital? IOFM reports that between 70 and 80% of invoices in the United States are still paper-based, and that about 70% of invoice processing costs are related to document handling and manual data entry. And so what we see is that this reliance on paper is leading to slow processes, lower overall accuracy rates, and higher costs. And in the past, many AP professionals were kind of scared away from automation because they believe that all of their suppliers would also have to issue e-invoices in the same standard format in order to become fully digital. Well, my boss always says he can't get the 4 members of his family to agree on what to have for dinner. So what hope do we have of convincing hundreds or perhaps thousands or tens of thousands of suppliers to do what we ask? Really, it's just silly. So if anybody's attempted automation in the past, you may have encountered frustration because of staff reluctance and in some cases outright rebellion. Judy Bicking is a senior trainer for IOFM, and in her past, Judy was the global director of shared services for Johnson & Johnson. She was responsible for helping them move their AP processes to digital. And she tells this hilarious story about popping the print screen keys off of dozens of keyboards in an attempt to help her staff transition to viewing electronic invoices instead of printing the invoices for processing. The #1 thing you can do to help your staff embrace digital instead of paper is to help them become invested in the change. Make sure they understand how the conversion will make their jobs easier and more enjoyable, and that they'll have opportunities to add new value to the organization by earning early discounts and eliminating fraud. And where it's appropriate, be prepared to incentivize and recognize those staff who actually embrace the changes. Guess what? AP automation doesn't have to be so hard. You can help your staff manage the change, and e-invoices are simply no longer required. Though invoices may arrive in many different page layouts, file formats, and even in paper, Enterprise Content Management, or ECM, can handle them all. Most ECM systems, in fact, will ingest almost any type of enterprise content and can then group similar items like invoices into categories that define processes and apply specialized security. Digital invoices ensure better control of information, and they're easier to retain in compliance with regulations. Today's scanning and imaging technologies have simplified AP automation. ECM and workflow applications then allow electronic invoices to be sorted, processed, and paid more quickly. In fact, with today's technology, AP automation is accomplished in 5 easy steps. In today's session, we're going to talk about just the first step, scanning, and I'll share an example of a real customer who's using scanning technology to support AP automation in their organization. As Sean mentioned, we've also got Robert with Epson here, and he's going to take a few minutes to explain scanner options and some things to consider as you look at purchasing hardware for scanning invoices. And then you'll hear from Paul, our senior sales engineer, and he's going to show you a demo of what scanning software looks like so that you can see how it works and so that you'll know what to look for as you consider various options. As I mentioned, step 1 in moving from paper-based invoicing to automated AP is to convert those invoices that you're still receiving on paper into digital files that are more secure and easier to work with. And you do so by scanning the paper documents into digital files. Once they're digital, they benefit from the same automatic security, retention, and routing as their electronic counterparts. Some of you may be scanning invoices today, but if you're like most, you actually scan invoices after they're processed in order to simplify retention. This is often called backfile scanning. The question I have for you is, have you considered scanning up front? Rather than scanning after invoices are processed, we recommend scanning invoices when they're received so that natively digital and natively paper invoices follow the same process flow and get protected by the same security measures. What product capabilities should you look for to implement scanning? Well, start with the scanner that's equipped with the speeds and features to meet your needs, and you're going to learn more about that from Robert here in just a minute. But you'll also want to carefully consider which scanning software you want to run the scanner. May I suggest that you look for works with virtually any scanner at its full rated speed so that you can change hardware if necessary? We also recommend that you look for one that includes the ability to clean up scanned images using image filters like despeckle or deskew, so that you're always getting the clearest possible digital image. And finally, we recommend an application that offers a quality control check that allows operators to quickly assess the quality of scanned images so that you're rescanning right away rather than discovering poor quality as invoices move through reconciliation and remittance processes. So I promised to tell you a real customer story, and here's one about how invoice scanning works in the real world. In Ankeny, Iowa, Industrial Refrigeration Services specializes in commercial and industrial refrigeration. Their AP department receives about 2,000 invoices monthly, and they recently implemented AP automation technology to streamline processing. So IRS converts all of the invoices they receive on paper into digital files now by scanning them, and then those digital invoices are then uploaded to a cloud-based ECM service for management and retention. And after eliminating their paper invoices, IRS is saving more than 500 employee hours per year. And they believe that 100% of invoices are now secure from loss, theft, or damage. So now that you have a feel for how scanning can help automate AP, I'm going to turn the time over to Robert with Epson to walk you through some scanner information specific for AP.
Hello, my name is Robert Esquivel. I'm with Epson America, and I'm going to showcase some features of our document imaging scanners specifically related to AP. The three scanners I'm going to focus on are three of our small desktop scanners. So what you want to do is, when looking at scanners, is freedom of choice. So we do have 19 different models that Epson has. As a whole, all of our scanners have been tested and certified with Digitech systems. A great thing is the fact that it's simple setup, easy networking. It does have built-in cloud integration. In our desktop models, we have ultra-fast scan speeds up to 65 pages per minute. And warranty is always a key feature within document imaging scanners. We have a out-of-the-box 1-year warranty, and we do have additional options stackable up to 5 years. So again, wide range of scanner speeds and capabilities to match your needs as a customer, designed to match the workload and optimal workflow utilizing Digitech software. And again, compatible and certified with virtually all information management software, including, most importantly, Digitech software. So here's our lineup. When you look at our desktop scanners, we have 4 that fit into the arena. Our first off is our DS520, which is a 30-page per minute scanner. We do have a wireless version of that, which is our DS560. And then moving up the ladder, there's the DS760 and the DS860. So when you look at it, as the information management market continues to move forward, the efficiency of distributed scanning environments and way away from centralized workflow, Epson, we allow our customers to choose the most appropriate speed range to match the workloads, significantly reducing the total project cost. Again, with the sheet models, we have a 26 pages per minute, 45, and also 65 pages per minute scanner that is certified with the Digitech software product. Both ISIS and Twain drivers, Digitech software utilizes both of those drivers based on the particular software package that you're utilizing. And then moving up, if you need higher end speeds other than distributed capture, and within the AP workflow, we have combination ADF and flatbed models. Two of the units, the 6500 and 7500, have an 8.5 by 11 flat screen versus the 60,000 and the 70,000 is an 11.5 by 17 flatbed screen. Again, same scenario as with our desktop scanners, both 29ISIS drivers integration. Here's our product portfolio across the board. We have small little personal scanners, I call them for ward warriors, and then our desktop, and again, as I just showcased, the flatbed and ADF models. Prices with our desktop start at around $3.99 list and go up to $10.99 with our 65 page per minute scanner. So again, our 520, this is entry level for the AT automation. You look at it, it's a 30 page per minute scanner, and in duplex it goes at 60 images per minute. It does have a 50 sheet ADF, a document feeder. Gives you the ability to scan up to 3,000 pages per day as far as the daily duty cycle. And as mentioned, both driver interface of 29ISIS. Moving up the ladder, if you need a little bit more workflow on that side, we have the DS760. The DS760 is a 45 page per minute scanner. Again, we do have the image, so as Sean mentioned, image cleanup. We do have image cleanup built into our 20 drivers. So when utilizing our 20 drivers, you have the ability to clean up your images at scan time. And then our fastest sheet-fed scanner is our DS860, 65 pages per minute, and 130 in duplex. Again, same driver interface across the board, has a list price of $10.99. We call this kind of our claim to fame. Buyers Lab is the independent work group. Basically, they go out and they evaluate products across the board. And while the DS760 that we won the Buyers Lab Award back in June of 2014, they rate us excellent rating and reliability as a setup, faster than average speeds, and higher than average efficiency rate. It is a 65, on this one it is a 45 page per minute scanner, but when you look at it, when they tested it, they got speeds of over 50 pages per minute. And on a good note, the ability to keep up with the workflow and when utilizing Digitech software. One step higher is our DS860. Again, Buyers Lab awarded us the award. Excellent rating. Again, reliability is a setup. They got speeds of almost 70 pages per minute. Buyers Lab recommends the 860 for departments looking for affordable, productive scanner able to process up to 6,000 sheets per day. That's the daily duty cycle. Some features within our scanners as well, what you want to look at with any hardware component, whether it's a scanner, whether it's an all-in-one, is our advanced paper handling. So we have the ability, if need to, if this is say it's 11.5 by 17, you could fold it in half, and by utilizing Document Capture Pro, you could scan folded oversized documents without a carrier sheet to directory. From there, Digitech can pick up that document, take it into their system, and then you'll see the actual full-size document. So multi-roller page feed systems for better tracking, less skew, and fewer jams within your scanning your paper documents. The ability to scan multi-size documents. As you'll see here, you have standard 8.5 by 11, and there's the smaller size documents. So you could put them in as a batch and scan them in, and all together they go in and they go directly into the Digitech system. Smart feeding system. So the new smart feeding system provides reliable performance for continuous scanning. Also, the paper software aligns the edges of the paper, while the separation roller reliably separates the feeds. Within each page, we do have an ultrasonic sensor, which will instantly detect double feeds, which allows it to minimize scanning errors caused by multi-feeds. So again, most importantly, when utilizing Digitech software, they utilize both the 29ISIS driver. Those are drivers that basically allow you to scan directly from a hardware component. So we do have both 29ISIS drivers in all of our products. So thank you very much. And with this, I will turn the screen on over to Mr. Owens.
Hello, everyone. I get to do the easy part. I get to push a button. Because scanning is a very simple process, or it should be. I know that a lot of companies have multifunction devices, copiers that can scan. And with any scanning solution, we want to leverage any investment that you have. So as you can see, I've got our capture software running. I'm going to create a new batch. And I've logged in, and we'll just name it batch 1 to keep things simple. And it's actually going to launch our capture software and let us scan. Now you'll see here, this is the list of scanners that I have predefined. One of the nice things about the software is I do have an Epson 860, and I'll show you that in a second. But if you wanted to use a copier because you didn't have a volume that would benefit from a dedicated scanner, but you still wanted to leverage the software to make you more efficient in getting the documents indexed and into the system and processed, well, you could actually have the copier scan to a folder that says AP or HR or PODs, and then you could come here and select that, and it would actually sweep everything in from that folder directly in and let us leverage all the technology that's built into the capture software. And yes, that could be done in an automated process, but then I wouldn't have anything to show you. So, but here's what I'm going to do is I've got this 8600 and I've got some documents loaded. This is how hard it is. I select my scanner, I press one button, and my scanner comes to life, and here it brings in the pages. And you'll see that these are individual invoices, and I'm bringing them in a batch mode so I can see each individual page. If I wanted to go in and look at them as a full page, thus and so, and if I brought them in a full page mode, I will reload those same documents, and we'll hit the scanner again. And you'll see that you can come in and you can see them flashing on the screen as they go by. So this is that 860, which is scanning at roughly 65 pages a minute, so less than a second an image as it comes through on the screen. One of the things that was mentioned earlier is that if we QC them at this level, we increase our efficiency throughout the entire process. That's when bringing this up, this feature up right here is very beneficial, is because I can actually show all of these documents. So right here from the screen, I can tell that every one of these scans is really good. If one was bad, or if I got a black one, or a blank backside, or if I needed to rotate one because it was put in the batch upside down, I can just rotate that right from the screen. If I had one that misscanned for whatever reason, maybe a staple got in there and it stuck together, well, right from here I can bring that up, and I can, with one button, I can replace this with, put that page back in the scanner and replace it. So once I get everything looking the way that I know is good, I'm done scanning with this entire batch. This could be a mail run, it could be a day's work, it could be a week's worth, whatever volume that you need to process to be efficient within your organization. After I see that all of these images are good, all I have to do is click one button, and that's to submit the batch complete, and it's going to go on to the next step in this process. Well, this next step is going to be discussed in our next webinar, which Sean Morris is going to discuss at this time.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Robert and Christina. Just a couple of questions for you guys. Robert, you mentioned that 1 year out of the box warranty. If a customer has a scanner and for some reason something happens, what's the process to get that turned around so that they get a unit in their hands?
Hey, thanks for asking that question. It's a pretty simple process. What happens is the customer themselves, the end user, utilizing the product, calls Epson technical support. From there, it's a pretty simple process. They'll ask some questions, try to troubleshoot it over the phone. If for some reason they cannot resolve the problem and they find out that it is a faulty unit, they will then send an exchange unit directly to the customer, and then the customer would then package up the bad unit and send it back to Epson. So again, very simple process. We try to eliminate as much possible downtime to keep the customer up and running.
Now, Epson is a global organization, and you guys have done a lot of research and studies. And I think in a previous conversation that you and I had, you mentioned that this happens so rarely. I forget the percentage that you said that there was.
I'm going to say it's less than 2%. You know, the customers that I've had, I've really not seen any issues at all whatsoever. Epson as a whole, you look at our product line across the board, our entire portfolio, from projectors to all-in-ones to to our scanners themselves, we're either number one or number two in the market segment, which goes to show the quality of products that Epson puts out.
Great, thank you. I think that speaks to the reliability. Christina, you've done a lot of work recently with the Institute of Finance and Management, and you have some statistics. What is the average cost savings for processing invoice electronically?
You know, I know that they can improve the time that it takes by about 53% when it comes to processing invoices, and they're going to reduce that cost from a little over $11 per invoice to somewhere between $5 and $6. So more than 50% cost savings that they're going to see per invoice as they go through that process. So as an average organization is receiving a few thousand invoices a month, and you start adding those dollars up, you can see that there's really a huge opportunity here to return business benefit to the organization.
That's huge. That's huge. Now I'm going to come at you from a different angle. You mentioned earlier the story about Judy Bicking and actually popping off the print buttons from the computers. I'm sure she got in trouble with IT for that. But you do a lot of work with coaching and teaching adults, and I think that's part of the adoption cycle here. What could you recommend that would help companies when they're thinking about training individuals?
Yeah, so what Sean's referring to, I have a master's degree in organizational leadership, and so I've done quite a bit in helping organizations manage change. And one of the fun things about working with adults is that we are more change resistant. We're just not as open to when things switch around in our processes. So what Judy was doing was actually trying to change some muscle memory, and that means that, you know, her staff were just so used to being able to physically handle and touch a piece of paper in order to work with the information on it, that they needed to kind of go back to that same muscle memory. And so by forcing that issue, then she forced their brains to adjust and to allow for that new process. And sometimes that has to happen as we manage change with groups of adults. I think more effective and far more simple in terms of change resistant and working with adults is really getting those adults involved in the change from the beginning. So for those of you on the call who manage staff of accountants or AP clerks, or who oversee other individuals that are part of that process, bring them into these early conversations. Have them join on some of these additional webinars so that they're starting to learn right alongside you how the technologies work, what the changes mean for their day-to-day tasks and processes. And then as they become involved, they become invested in making sure that the change is successful. And then incentivize and reward those who do a really good job of embracing the change, because that sets that tone or that example for the rest of the team.
Perfect, and thank you. Thank you. So folks, that's going to conclude our webinar for today. As Paul mentioned earlier, our next webinar is going to be really actually working with the documents. You're going to see how we're able to collect data through our artificial intelligence engine that we use in the software, collect the data that's important for processing invoices and matching that against a payment record. But you're going to see also how we can QC those documents with very manual or very limited or if none manual data entry. So keep an eye out for our next webinar series. We want to thank you all again for attending today, and we'll talk to you soon.